good.
Alton,
Okay.
do apologize all. I was apparently under the impression that the training only started at 10. So my meeting schedule was wrong completely. I do apologize.
No,
How are you guys doing?
All good, all good. So I have already started on the introduction on our side.
All right.
So when you're ready, I think we can start. And I'm not sure if you can, and then after that, we can just see how we can answer the questions that have been put onto the meeting chat. But I think if we just start with the training and then we can just take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alton. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll go through the training, and then from there I'll stop and have pause, and then if there's any questions, we can attend to the questions. It's basic, it's product training, and then we're going to focus on ESS. And then whoever wants to have more focus on the battery communication between the Victron and the unit itself, I did put in the solar MD side of things. So if you want to focus on the battery communication side, we can do that as well. You guys happy with that?
Yeah, great.
All right. Let's start. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
The share option's not available on my side.
Let me just see why. Sorry. Okay, try again.
There we go.
So.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, perfect. We can.
All right.
If everybody can just give a thumbs up. Yeah.
All right. So welcome to the Victron training. I'm just going to switch off my camera. Welcome to the Victron training. It's broad focus on all the products that we do have. I'm just focusing on all the units that we currently have, not focusing on the Multiplus 2s and the Quattro 2s, but on all the other units as well. I think the next training will start focusing on the Multiplus 2 units. Good news, they've all been approved for NRA standard as well. So the certificate and everything on the NRA standards has been received. All right, so Victron training. Training topics, Victron energy product updates, ESS overview, GX devices overview. New products. This is the multi-RS solar unit that's been the first high frequency unit that we currently going to have in stock. Inverter charger with the 450 VDC MPPT built in. It's parallelable and three-phase operational. It's available. Well, I see here in the presentation says not available. It is available. We updated the software, so it's available in three-phase and parallel options. It's a high-frequency unit. The only disadvantage on this unit, it needs the better software version that's not available as yet, but it will be available soon to do exporting. So, but most of the clients, I don't know, on your side, Joburg region, more the inland region, doesn't do exporting as such as Cape Town. But yeah, it's not that of a essence at the moment. It's a high efficiency unit. It's got a 96.5% at 1 kilowatt load and power factor, which is very, very good. It's got a first unit. It's got a single MPPT tracker, but we changed it with the MPPT 450-100 to a dual MPPT tracker, so you can populate east-west orientation. And then, obviously with the LCD display. So this is a built-in unit that's got a DC switch at the bottom, so you can isolate the DC on the side as well. No need for fuses. And the only system that you do require is the GX device for monitoring. As you can see, it's a 48 volt DC input. The PV varies. Operational voltage is 80%, then it starts to 450, and then your AC side it's 230 in, 230 out. Right. Multiplus new, 2 new models added, all standard features applied to these modules. Used in on-grid ESS and off-grid installations. As I mentioned, on the ESS, the only thing that's not available as yet, it's the exporting. You need the better software to do that. It's a compact enclosure, everything built inside. With the NRS relays built, anti-islanding device built in the unit. 8 and 10 kVA modules are new, limited stock. They'll be they're already in stock. They'll be on the Victron portal for you guys to get stock and build stock up for the end users to use or installers. A lot of testing being done by many standards, not for parallel. As mentioned, parallel is available now. It's updated. We actually got the confirmation yesterday morning. Right, Easy Solar 2 GX combination of Multiplus 2 GX and 250 Smart MPPT solar charger. Testing underway. It's already tested and certified. Stock is also available. As you can see, this is like exactly the same as the old Easy Solar, but the MPPT is built in the unit and it's more compact. So it actually has a Venus built into the unit, as you can see at the bottom. The V direct cable comes in there if you've got a multiple MPPTs or add on another MPPT. Then you've got your Ethernet cable that you plug into your Ethernet port. It's got a USB port if you want multiple other units communicating via V direct to USB. You can have a high-speed USB port on and then have multiple units there. And then it's got the V CAN and V bus ports open as well. Your AC in, AC2, or AC out 1, AC out 2, and your AC in on the sides. And then there's the V bus port on the inverter itself. All right, MPPT built in and the GX device. Then inverter charger ranges, it varies from 12 to 24, 48. As you know, we got all the small units from 500 to 800, 1 to 600. That's more for camping applications. And then it ramps up to the 15 kVA unit. On the Multiplus 2 kVA and smaller, it's exactly the same. And then you've got the Multiplus 2s that ranges up to 10, and 15 will also be available soon. I'm very excited. I think after a couple of trainings, we'll explain on the more HS units, the high frequency units that will compete the 15 kVA, then it will ramp up 30, 50, and 100 kVA units. Very excited on those units and getting more info to you guys. On the small cell MPPT, so obviously all you guys know, we've got the 250-100s that most of the people use, but now with the dual trackers on the MPPT RS4 software has also been updated, so they don't give that issue a lot of issues anymore. So the bigger brothers, the MPPT RS450-200. They've got there was for I think a period of a month or two, there was limited stock, but we do have stock now at the moment. So it features IP21 rating. The wide open frequency range is 80. So you can't just populate one module and expect the system to work. So any modules VDC, it's 40 or 550 is 49. You need to populate 2 units, the 2 MPP or 2 solar panels for the operational voltage to operate actually. So the wide open VOC is 80 to 450 VDC operational solar voltage input. There's a fan inside the unit assisting cooling, PV isolations to battery additional safety, the PV isolation resistance monitoring, multiple tracker for multiple PV stringing, and set up with the Victron Connect. Right. I see there's a couple of comments they were not able to Alton, you responding onto all the questions. Your speakers on mute, eh?
Yes, I'll be responding, and then I'll also maybe stop you in between. I mean, we can stop in between if anybody has questions, and then I'll just present them to you as we go on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
100. Right. All right. So you've got the Blue Sol MPPT. That's the older version. As you know, the Blue Sol MPPT doesn't have the Victron, the Bluetooth Connect app. well, you need the Bluetooth smart dongles in order for the BlueSol to communicate and program update firmware. So if you still have that MPPT 7515 BlueSol units, it's feasible to get the BlueSol dongle in order to update systems and program. If they did set the password on this unit, there is a PUC code at the back, and then you need the dongle in any way to reset the password on the BlueSol dongle. The smart solar 75, 100, 150, 200, as I mentioned, they vary up from the different amperage, 15, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 on the 100 volts. This is more for, it's more for camp applications and marine use, as moving more to residential solar and industrial commercial. You'll mostly use the 150, 250 and the larger units. So the 150, 250, it's more for 24 and 48 volt systems. They vary from 35 amp, 45, 60, 70, 85, and 100. And then you've got the Smart Sol VCAN communication system, where this is where you can have the VCAN cables to daisy chain the actual MPPTs, which is nice on the VCAN. If you daisy chain the units and one MPPT has a problem, the MPPT doesn't switch off. So all the units will stay active, and it will display that one MPPT it's failing, gives an BMS error, and then you can update it or see what's the problem. But all the other MPPTs on the VCAN will still operate normally. Exactly the same with the Smart Solar RS450. It comes in 100 and 200 amp range as well. All right. The sun does not shine for 24 hours, as you all know. So on the MPPT, you'll have your bell curve that we normally call it. So the sun comes up, depends on what province you are. The sun comes up early 6 o'clock. And then the main thing, if you want to do peak shaving, you can actually overpopulate the MPPT to get the square wave block. But the bell curve is actually the sun that you get on the MPPT. So if you go onto your VRM portal, you'll actually get yield simulation that your portal will provide you. It's a new feature on the VRM, so it will give you a yield simulation on your system itself. But you can actually go see what is your total production per day on your VRM portal on each MPPT. So it will give you your bell curve, and then you can actually go on widget and see all the different. After the presentation, I'll show an example as well. All right. So this is just explaining ESS, a traditional solar system, no storage, just on a grid tie. So the primary function on a grid tie system is to do peak shaving. Most of the clients that doesn't or didn't have load shedding as such did grid tie system and did peak shaving. But now with the load shedding being so active and being on stage 6 load shedding, most of the clients phone and say, listen, we have a grid tie system, we do have solar, what can we do to run completely off, not completely off grid, but partially off grid during daylight? So then you can install actually a hybrid inverter, which is the quattros or the multi-plus units, and connect a PV inverter to the output of the inverter to do peak shaving and actually to provide the load without any issue. So solar storage on the ESS, this is how the solar storage on ESS works. You've got the battery that's connected to your inverter side, and from there you've got your solar as well. The primary function of the grid tie system is to provide power to the load first, and then from there, if the load fluctuates and it's not 10,000 watts, it's 2,000 watts, then all the excess 8,000 watts can go back to the battery and actually charge the battery up. And that's exactly how ESS works. I just want to see something. Now, so if your loads are on a high ESS system, if your loads are low during daytime, this loads here, you can actually drain from the battery side. And if it's higher, the battery the solar will take over the load and charge the battery, or the battery can assist the solar if it's cloudy and take over the loads. All right, exactly the storage system with larger batteries, 2 battery, if you've got exactly the same example, if you've got a larger battery bank and your loads stay low, the PV grid tie inverter or the MPPTs can charge the battery on this side. and take over the loads on the side. And during daytime or nighttime, when there's no sun available, it can provide power to your loads on the battery side. Depends on what TOU, time of use tariff you are. So if you have an industrial or commercial site and the client's on rule of flex, you need to avoid the notify demand. So the NMD is normally from 6 to 10. Then you can say, okay, listen, put a failed, or not a failed, so mechanical interlock, or you can program the unit general flag dedicated AC ignore and say, okay, don't allow Eskom on that stage. So provide power from the solar, from the sun, the battery, and the generator. Stage from 6 to 10 is away, then it can provide power again from the grid. That's to avoid the large bill. That's main function on ESS. All right, things you can do that will reduce the battery size: run big loads during the day when the sun is shining, on residential, swimming pool, pump, geysers, when somebody's hiding, the tumble dryer, washing machines. Do everything while the sun is shining to reduce peak loads during nighttime. So obviously we all know the battery storage system. It's actually a reservoir, so it just stores the energy in at night times. It provides power. So that's the main thing. What you can do: reduce the loads in your house during during nighttime, and push it through to daytime. When it's cloudy, there's nothing you can do about that. If you want to reduce the NMD on cloudy days, run the generator if you do have a generator. All right, this is just wiring diagrams on how the system is programmed, or not programmed, but designed. Public grid loads. This is if a client doesn't have anything wired. So a standard AC coupled system. AC coupled is a grid tie system, PV inverters. So as you all know, there's multiple grid tie inverters on the market. Victron only uses two brands, which is Fronius and ABB. I like Fronius. It's a top quality brand, Austrian make, and very, very good. You can ask Alton, he'll assist you with pricing on all the Fronius brands, what's available. And there's an AC coupled system. If you go to an add-ons storage and metering system, also AC coupled system, you can have the grid tie inverter connected with a smart meter connected to the input of the grid and the inverter to the output, and they will provide power. So you'll still reduce your power having the grid tie connected to the input. You'll reduce your total Eskom consumption. The only disadvantage on this ESS or the AC coupled system on this is your PV inverter will switch off once Eskom switches off. If your power utility or your power grid switches off, a grid tie is voltage reference based. So if it doesn't get the voltage reference on the grid tie system, it will switch off. So it's actually a big disadvantage because you won't use the sun. If you've got load shedding during daytime, yeah, your modules won't produce power, and your return on investment calculation will be poor. So this is how a PV on AC input system looks like. Then, yeah, obviously you've got the multi-plus, and then you've got your solar MD batteries. If you need pricing on the solar MD batteries, yeah, speak to Alton again. He'll provide you with, assist you with all the pricing that's required. Yeah, as I mentioned, there's the critical loads. Critical loads will be run through the multi-plus. So if Eskom or utility goes off, your multi-plus will provide you with the backup power required, and the PV inverter will switch off. If you want to add on additional PV modules on an AC coupled system, then you can add on MPPT. And the MPPT's primary function is to charge the battery at first priority, and then from the battery, if the battery is full, it will provide power to the load. Yeah, but if the load's higher than the MPPT's capacity, then obviously it'll start draining the battery. All right, so any questions on this so far? Nothing. Alton, are you all right?
Yeah, all good. I don't see any
perfect.
questions here in regards to what you just spoke about. Nothing so far. Everything good. I think we can proceed.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Right. yeah, Venus, this is all the control units. I didn't put the Ekrano. The Ekrano is the new monitoring
Oh,
device.
sorry, there is this one
Yes.
from Gideon. Why not using the multi as grid reference? I think it's in regards to, yeah.
Yeah, so if you use the multi as grid reference, you can do that. As I said, there's an AC coupled system with the PV inverter connected to the output. But you need to be, there's a lot of clients or installers, end users that don't do the calculation. So if you have a multi plus 10 kVA, you can't go install a 27 kilowatt system. Or it needs to be directly equivalent to the transformer size. So remember, you need to do the calculation on your Ohm's law. If you've got an 8 kVA system, the prime power that you can feed back at 6,000, the kVA rating it's 8,000, but your kilowatt power it's 6,000. So if you do have an 8 kVA unit connected to the output of the inverter, just ensure that your inverter or your PV inverter does not populate 8 kilowatt to damage the transformer on the side. It's really unlikely that it will happen. If there's a communication failure between the two units, well, obviously your GX will be the brain. So if there's a communication failure and it starts exporting more power, then it will damage your inverter. But if you've got 6 kilowatt connected onto the 8 kilowatt on the output, you won't have a problem at all. So it's most of the systems you need to install. It's better if you install a grid tie inverter to the output of the Quattro or the multi.
Yeah.
You'll get a better return.
Yeah. So
Right,
Gideon, you just have to follow that 1:1 ratio, and
yes,
you'll be good.
Exactly. So, and big thing most of the clients do, and that the system doesn't communicate, and you say no, and it keeps on dropping info or communication. Once it drops communication on the Fronius, if your Cerber or your GX device doesn't pick up the IP address from your Fronius, it will drop it, and the Fronius will stop producing. So the big thing is what they do is they connect the grid tie inverter to the Wi-Fi. And the Wi-Fi sometimes does have a delay. If there's communication interface problems, you will have a delay on production. Your grid tie inverter will switch off and on and off and on. So my suggestion, multiple sites that we do, if it's a 180 kVA hybrid system or a 72 kilowatt hybrid system, install a switch, an Ethernet switch, get your ISP company or internet service provider, whoever, it's the client's responsibility actually to do that, and install a switch closest to the system. Get an Ethernet cable connected to the Cerber and connected to the data manager of the Fronius. Then you won't have any problems. And set the programming parameters the right way. Right. Gideon, you use the kilowatt rating. So the Fronius comes out in the kilowatt rating, and the Victron comes out in the kVA rating. Use the kilowatt rating. All right. Any other questions? Nothing. All right. Communication interface systems. So obviously, you all know about the new Cerber, the Cerber S, and then the new unit, which is a very, very good unit, is the Ekrano. Ekrano is the new latest GX device with a faster processor built in. So yeah, what we do have, it's a color control GX, the Venus, the Octa, the Cerber, and yeah, this is all the latest communication systems. So GX devices full system monitoring, CCGX end of life. So this will be discontinued soon. The Venus, it's the Venus GX, VGX production ending as well. So we'll move more to just the Cerberos and the Ekranos. So the Octa production ending as well. The CAN view, this is an IP65 marine application only. So if you're in the marine use, they'll use the CAN view GX marine application. Then you've got the Maxi GX. This is also production ending. They're moving to the Cerber. Then you've got the Cerber GX and the Cerber GX Touch 50 and the 70. So you've got the Cerber GX and the Cerber S. The difference between the Cerber and the Cerber S, the Cerber S is actually just a younger brother, and it's a cheaper unit as well. If you don't want a CAN interface, the BMS or the CAN BMS interface and the GX tank units on the bottom of the on the Cerbro, if you don't require that, you can use the Cerbro GX, the Cerbro SGX. That's a cheaper, it's a couple of bucks cheaper, but the Cerbro does have everything in. So the Cerbro communicates via HMI to a touch 50 or 70, and yeah, they've got all the things on. I think I explain it more frequently, but the Cerbro, it's got the BMS CAN at the back. It's got the V CAN at the back for the MPPT. So the BMS CAN is for all your new lithium batteries, whether it's compatible with Freedom 1, Solar MD. There's multiple of units that's CAN interface at the moment. So that's for BMS CAN. The V CAN is mostly for your MPPTs that you can daisy chain on the unit itself. And then you've got the V bus, which is your inverter side. Right at the bottom, you've got your tank, your GX tank, so it can manage 4 tank sensor levels, so you can actually see the different tank sensors. Then you've got your digital and analog I/O inputs. That's for if you want to do more node thread or you want to do home automation on the digital I/O. You can actually connect sensors on your doors, your swimming pool. There's multiple features that you can go into if you want to play around with. It's actually an HMI PLC unit built in. Then you've got 2 free potential contact relays. This free potential contact relay mostly on the relay 1. Most of the clients use the relay 1 as a generator stop function. So when the SoC reaches a certain level, you can program the relay 1 and start the generator once SoC reaches 30%. Stop the generator once the SoC is 50%. So that you can do. You can use it if you've got a Quattro with the 2 inputs. It's not necessary to have a mechanical interlock installed. If you've got a multi-plus 5 kVA and you only have, excuse me, and you only have 1 input, you can change. You can put up a mechanical interlock. It will switch over, and you can actually use both relays for the generator. So the generator will start 30% COC, and once you reach 40% or 50%, then S1 comes back. And the generator still running, the relay 2 will open the contact on the generator and will stop the generator from running. So there's multiple functions on the unit itself. Features on the monitoring system display, internet connectivity and monitoring via LAN, data logging via SD card or USB. So most of the clients, obviously, it's internet connected via LAN or Wi-Fi. So if you do lose Wi-Fi and the system doesn't log, it's ideal to have a SD card or a USB stick onto the server itself. If you do have that USB and the USB and SD card connected to it, it just stores the data. If there's any queries or you've got a difficult client and it says no, the system did that when it wasn't monitoring, you can go extract the micro SD card and pull the data off. It will store all the data from there. Then GPS position with USB GPS dongle. So on each systems, once you install it and activate the VRM online portal, it gets a GPS positioning. So we know exactly, and you know exactly where's all your sites. So with the Cerbro, there's remote V configuration. You can update firmwares on it. You can set up new parameters on the system config file. And yeah, you can help a client and go view all the information. If there's problematic sites, you can actually go onto the system and view all the data. Remote firmware updates, as I mentioned, system battery status of charge, max charge current and voltage change, and much, much more. As I mentioned on the digital I/O and the relays, each inverter also has 5 free potential contact relays. So there's multiple functions that you can program onto the inverter, and yeah, it's robust. So there's extremely a lot of functions. If you're in the agriculture sector and you do dosing and fertigation on the systems, you can program that as well. So the guys living in Cape Town or closer inland, Nelspruit or Tzaneen area, Limpopo area, you can actually speak to the guys that has fuel tanks. You can speak to the guys that's got crops they're harvesting. There's multiple functions that you can set using the Advantage. All right, so system display, you get the inverter charger, the AC and load. So yeah, this is the normal function if you don't have an energy meter installed. So you've got your inverter, which is the blue box. Then you've got the AC input, which is red. Reason why it's red, you don't want any, if you pull power from the, you're putting from the grid, which is not ideal. So you don't want to do that. Then you've got the AC loads on the green box. Then you've got your PV power, DC loads if you've got any DC components, and then you've got your battery status. If you've got a Freedom 1 or Solar MD, it will display CAN interface or a E or Solar MD. It will display whatever you're using. This is the AC coupled system. Gideon, your question here, AC coupled system on PV inverter connected to the output of the inverter. So yeah, it's an AC coupled with a grid house system connected to the output. Yeah, you can see the primary function of the PV inverter take over the load as first priority. PV will charge the battery and then take over the load. And then the DC load. On the left corner, it's basic function PV inverter. This is the old PV inverters. This is how the new PV inverter is displayed. PV inverter load, AC input, and then the battery side. And then the right left corner, if you've got a grid tie inverter connected to the input. So yeah, it's if you've got a high inverter, say for instance, you've got a 3-phase 10 kVA system, but you've got a 27 kilowatt connected onto the output, and you've got a 27 kilowatt connected to the to the input. Both can work. The only only disadvantage. So once Eskom goes down or power utility goes down, this grid tie system will switch off. But yeah, this is how it looks when you've got an energy meter installed. So you've got the grid, the AC loads, which is non-dedicated loads, and then your backup. So if Eskom goes down or utility goes down, the AC load will automatically go to 0, and then the grid goes to 0. If you want an AC load, which is non-dedicated load connected to the output 2, you can actually program and generate general flag and multiple other settings that you can program. If the SOC reaches 70% SOC, close the contact and provide power to the non-dedicated loads, such as air cons, geysers, etc., etc. Right. Communication ports on this. The protocol, I'm going to go through the protocol, product, software, and monitoring. So VE bus, it's a VE bus cable straight connect. Those are used basically just to communicate to the inverters. Multis, quattros, easy solar, easy plus, large inverter, and Phoenix inverter. It's a straight VE bus communication cable. So software VE configure, and that's all the inverters and monitoring. It's a GX device, whether it's a normal color control or a servo. V-Direct to V-Direct cable communicated through MPPT, BMV, power stack, new small inverters, Phoenix charger, IP43, IP43 blue power and charger, Victron Connect. It's a software. It's the Bluetooth software that you download from your app stores. Whether you use Android or Apple, both has the Victron Connect. The V-Direct cable, as I mentioned, if you have a Blue Sol MPPT, you're going to need the dongle. This is the dongle that's connected to the V-Direct, then you can actually monitor this, or not monitor, but program the system. All right, VCAN links, Skylar IP44, it's all the chargers. VCAN is connected to the chargers and the MPPTs. You've got the links, BMS with your busbar and your shunt connected. Those communicate via VCAN. Then you've got your BMS CAN type A or B cable. Depends on what battery you have installed. If you've got a Freedom 1 or a Solar MD or BSL, whatever the case may be, Hubble, Pylon Tech, there's multiple batteries. So it all depends on what protocol and software the software stays the same. What protocol does your battery talk to? If it's a type A cable, you plug in a type A. Normally the cables come with the batteries, so you just plug it into the BMS and go program the GX device on whatever protocol it is. Right. This BMS CAN cable doesn't work with color control. It only works with your Cerbo GX. If you do have a color control connected, you need to use the VCAN to communicate to the battery. Then your protocol will also just change. If you have a VCAN and or Cerbo or color control, and you have an MPPT and a battery, and you connect the battery to VCAN, I suggest that you use the V-direct cable to communicate to the MPPT. Otherwise, you're going to get confusion. They in any way don't work on the same cable. All right. V-bus connection, so only one V-bus system per GX device, a single inverter charge or inverter charger system set up in parallel or in three-phase. So if you have a three-phase system, only one means of turning system on or off, either via multi-control, via panel, or GX device. So multi-control panel, not a lot of people use that. It's mostly a GX device. If you daisy chain systems, it's all VCAN interface based. Or V-bus interface based on the multi-plus. On the RS units, it's all VCAN interface. All right. So same with the multi-plus 2s, it's all VCAN interface or V-bus interface, and then the last unit there you plug into the GX. Ensure if you don't have a digital display connected to the output, ensure that you install a dummy plug. You get it with the GX or all the GX devices. Gets a terminator. So terminate the ends. Otherwise, you're going to create an open loop. Terminate this side and terminate the other end of the inverter to ensure that there's proper communication going through. All right, V-direct connections. V-direct is a point-to-point control. Maximum distance is 10 meters. Use a V-direct USB interface for more V-direct connections are needed. The power hub needs to be a high-speed power hub. You get the power hubs with that push-on button that switches the system on. I don't advise that unit, because if something goes wrong and the power hubs button for some odd reason switches off, you're going to end up driving to sites just to push the power button. So I suggest that you get a power hub, USB hub without a switch button. If more connections are needed, use a power hub. Maximum V-direct devices: Cerbo 3, GX, CCGX 5, Venus 6, Octa 10, Maxi 25. All right. So as you see, the V-direct cable goes to the V. There's two V-direct ports on the GX device, CCGX device. If you need more, you've got the hub. A BMV, if you've got old batteries or a bad lithium battery, install a BMV with a shunt to get the accurate reading, and that also communicates via V-direct cable. Then you've got your MPPT, also redirect to USB. Your energy meter goes from USB to RS485, but that's also USB interface. All right, VCAN connections. VCAN products are daisy chained as well. The first and last device needs a terminator, as I mentioned. Same with the V-bus. The V-bus won't give you issues, but the VCAN will definitely give you issues if it's not terminated. All right, so yeah, we've got the GX device with the MPPT CAN interface and the Skylar, and the links will be connected to the battery. All right, Cerbo GX and GX Touch, latest GX device with no buttons, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth access via Victron Connect app. So the big thing on the Cerbo, which is ideal, you can actually connect 4 different Wi-Fi connections. So if it's an industrial commercial building, mostly they've got redundant units, redundant ISP providers, and then you can actually program 4 Wi-Fi access points. So if one signal spoor jumps onto another one, so it gives you more redundancy. Dead-ray mountable via optional accessories, powerful dual CPU, and enable more connectivity. So if you install, for instance, 6 multi-pluses on each phase, it won't have a problem whatsoever. It won't lag, where the CCGX unit will start lagging with more communication interface being installed. With the Cerbo, you won't have any problem. GX Touch 50 is a waterproof touchscreen. You get it on 50 and you get it in 70. Well, it's a 5 and 7 inch display, and then it comes with a wall mount, also Polaroid lens visible. Okay. This is how the unit looks. Please, if you purchase the Cerbo GX units and you get the plugs, please install the plugs. most of the guys only install the power plug and then they lose all the other tank and temperature and digital inputs, then you need to buy new units. So that we don't make packs of the plugs. So if you do have or buy a Cerbro, first thing that you do before installing, just insert the plugs. Right, so you can see at the top you've got the BMS scan interface, you've got the VCAN interface, VBus interface, the 3 USB connections. Then you've got your HMI display or portal, and then 3 VDirect portals, and then your Ethernet switch. If you have Ethernet straight to the inverter, if you've got a switch that I mentioned on the AC coupled system, install AC surge protection on the SPD on the switch. So if there's a lightning strike via communication cable from the ISP, it doesn't heat out your Cerbro. There's a question, just a question: when you have two multis, two GXs inverters, but choose to use an external GX device color control.
No, so I'm just typing that. No.
All right, perfect. You'll answer them.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then as I mentioned, you get the 2 terminators that's on 7 and 8 that's looped. That's the terminator that terminates the close end. All right, Bluetooth for Victron Connect, easier access and configurator, configure Wi-Fi and LAN, open it on BRM, open remote console. This is a Cerbro GX. This is a diagram that everything, that you can connect. So I'll go through it. The Cerbro on the top end, you've got the touch, the GX touchscreen display, connects via USB and your HMI. Your USB is your power cable that provides 5 volts to the touchscreen, and then your HMI cable plugs in and it communicates straight to the Cerbro. Then your VDirect is connected to a Phoenix 12250 inverter. And then your other VDirect is Smart Solar and Blue Sol MPPTs. Other VDirect is your normal Smart Shunt 712. And then you've got your VDirect port, of your not VDirect, the Ethernet port connected to the network Modbus TCP. As I mentioned, yeah, there's an AC inverter also connected to the network. Then you've got your inverter, multi-plus inverter with a digital multi-controller. They connect via VBus. Here's your CAN termination. And then your first CAN port goes to the Skylar and the multiple MPPTs with the link shunt VCAN. Then you've got another, then you've got the terminator on the BMS CAN, and the BMS goes to BMS CAN type Victron compatible battery management system, whatever battery you use. Then at the bottom, you've got the tank. It's already got tank level sensors in. If you want to add more tanks, you can get the GX 120 or 140 GX component to add more tanks, but it's not necessary. Then you've got the temperature sensor and the digital inputs. Digital inputs, there's multiple stuff that you can do. You can have door alarms, pumps, burglar alarms, smoke alarms, fire alarms, generator running, multiple of units. Then you've got your free potential contact relays. Your free potential contact relay 1 is for generator start stop. It's only a 2 wire. So if you've got all generators with 3 wire, there is diagrams on the internet to convert the 3 wire via relays to 2 wire start stop function. But we only have a common, normally open or normally closed. That's the only ports the free potential contact relay has. And then the other relay you can use for whatever scenario you want. And then the Cerbro GX power from the battery, whether it's 12, 24, or 48. You connect the power. And you need to ensure that the positive stays on positive, negative stays on negative. That cable on the Cerbro comes with an inline fuse, so it's not necessary to install another fuse. So it comes with an inline fuse. So if something goes wrong and there's a surge from the battery side, it will pop that fuse. So if we do sometimes we get RMA units, they send it back and say it doesn't give power. Just ensure that you did double check the fuse side. All right, so products with built-in GX devices, Multi 2 GX and Easy Solar GX. GX device built-in access from the bottom of the unit. VCAN port only suitable for managed batteries. So VCAN port, you need to set up the service under your VRM. Go to services, and then you select your CAN protocol. This I did go through it. The first 2 slides did mention it. Right, then GX product overview. The CCGX, you've got the display, LCD, and buttons. Venus doesn't have anything, any display. Octa doesn't have anything. CanView GX touch, and the Maxi GX, and then the Cerbro optional touchscreen, and the Multi Plus 2. It's got 2 2x16 characters. Wireless comms, optional Wi-Fi short range, Wi-Fi. Then the CanView is also Wi-Fi 4 connections, and the Maxi Wi-Fi, Cerbro Wi-Fi plus Bluetooth, and the Multi Plus 2, it's also got a Wi-Fi. If the Wi-Fi doesn't pick up on the Venus, you can extend the Wi-Fi with a long-range extender. You can just ask Alton also for pricing. USB connections, 2 on the CCGX, 2 on the Venus, 1 on the Octa, 1 on the CanView, 1 on the Maxi. Cerbro actually has 3, but you already, if you have the screen connected, you only have 2 available. And then the Multi Plus has only got 1. V-Direct ports, it's 2 for CCGX, 2 for Venus, 10 for Octa, CanView 3, Maxi GX 25, and Cerbro 3. Built-in tank levels, that's only the Venus and the Cerbro that's got the tank levels. If you want a GX tank, as I mentioned, you can buy the GX tank portal or the dongle optional. Then you have the GX tank. VCAN port, you have 1 isolated on the CCGX, 1 isolated and non-isolated on the Venus, exactly the same on Octa, CanView, and 1 not isolated on the Cerbro. BMS CAN port, that's only the Maxi GX Cerbro and the Multi Plus 2s that has BMS CAN port. Temperature sensor, it's only the Venus and the Cerbro. And then digital inputs, Venus 5, Octa 3, CanView 1, Maxi GX 4, and Cerbro 4. All right, GX accessories. This is where we're going to speak about the GSM, the dongles, etc. The mounting enclosures for the GX device. There's the general accessory. Mounting enclosure for CCGX. You got the wall mount. If you have a BMV, you can buy the wall mount here and install the BMV at the bottom. But normally, most of the guys just buy the wall mount. Here's the Wi-Fi dongle, short and long range. This is a USB Nano, but it doesn't pick up if the Wi-Fi is longer than 10 meters away, where the long Wi-Fi dongle creates a whole ring of about 30 meters around it. Then you get the VCAN tank sender. This is a tank sender. Then you've got the GSM module. If you want to have, if you've got remote area with only Vodacom or MTN available, and then you can install the GSM. We're going to touch the CAN. Nobody uses. Does anybody use the CanView or use it before? Got it. And then you've got the GX Touch, and then you get the GX Touch 70 as well. There's a Cerbro Dendrail mountable kit, but most of the clients use the normal wall mount on the panel itself. And then obviously the temperature sensor. To connect GX device to the internet via LAN, Ethernet cable, Wi-Fi GX device might need Wi-Fi dongle. Via mobile phone network, 3G, use GX GSM, 3G or 4G router or mobile device. There it explains you exactly. Everybody knows this already. The GX GSM is just the GX GSM module connected to the unit, and it will pick up the signal. All right. Setup menu. Anybody questions?
Yeah, so there is a question here, but that was in regards to the Quattro 215. When will it be available for the market?
The 5 kVA?
The Quattro 15. Quattro 215.
Yeah, Quattro 215. I'll come back to you on that. I think it's already available. It's currently under production with the multi-RS units also in production.
Okay.
So I'll just get ETA once it will land in in the depot.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Device list. All connected devices will be presented under the device list menu. So if you plug the Cerbero in, it will automatically give you all the information that it requires or that it's connected to. So yeah, you can see the BMV 712 Smart's connected, the Smart Salt's connected, MultiPlus is connected, and then you've got notification and settings. All connected devices will be present, multi-quattros, Phoenix, all the units that's connected. All right, systems setting menu. System setup must be defined and changed. Import submenus are general, firmware, remote console, system setup, DVCC, VRM online portal, ESS, energy meter, PV inverter, Ethernet, Wi-Fi, generator, start-stop, relay, or services. So yeah, once you set it up, I'll go through it if there's any questions on the system itself. This is all the system setup must be defined. There's just a couple of settings that you set up if you run ESS and if you want to do remote support. Under the general menu, you can change your access level, user and install, or use only settings to use, only restrict some settings change on the GX. So obviously we all got clients, or you got all clients that fiddles with the system. Then everything bombs out, then he phones you and then blames the system, but he never told you he fiddled around with settings. So what you can do, you can have access level and actually create a password. So they'll only have viewer rights in that way. They won't be able to change any settings. All right. The remote support features for developers to access the back end of the Venus OS software, reboot will restart your GX device, and then there's a PUC code also that you can connect it to, and then reset the password. Okay, firmware. Under the firmware menu, you can see current versions. We advise to always run the latest firmware on the day of the commissioning. Then you can stop it actually to do the online updates. You can say cancel online updates. We recommend to display auto update of firmware on the GX device to set to check only. So it will tell you check for updates. It will say, okay, there is a latest firmware available. And then you can actually just say update to latest released. So yeah, you can. We did. Matthijs and them did set up the Cerbero that you can actually go back to additional firmware if there's problematic software. You can go back to the previous version of it. Right. Remote console on VRM is disabled by default, enabling the feature in the settings remote console menu. Either set a password or display the password preference. Restart the GX device once you did that. All right, the system setup, define system name. Is system name automatic? You can define the name, AC input in or and AC2 source Quattro only for AC2. If you've got AC input 1, you can say grid, AC input 2, you can say generator, wind, or whatever the case may be, but it needs to be an AC input. Monitoring for grid failure, this feature when enabled, send an email when triggered grid failure. That's all mostly, if there's a grid failure, it will give you a notification on your device, and it will give you that beeping noise. You can set that beeping noise off as well. Battery monitoring selection, you can go to battery monitoring selection. Most most systems that get SOC drift, what an SOC is state of charge drift. If you don't get, if the battery monitoring is not set correctly and it goes to automatic, and it's not selected on Blue Nova or Solar MD or on the BMS itself, it tends to get an SOC drift, and then it'll keep on switching the inverter on and off. So ensure your battery monitoring selection is selected onto the right parameter. And then obviously it has DC system features and enable if a system has DC charging or discharging source. So if you've got a wind turbine that runs through an MPPT, you can say DC power, and it will show you once it's producing power to the battery it's such, or alternator for that matter. System setup has DC system features is enabled if a system has DC DC charging or discharging sources connection to the battery bank, like an alternator or DC generator. The energy flowing in a part of the system will be displayed. Used in marine and automotive motor systems. So if you've got a Cyrex connected, you can actually display it there. Yeah, and then there's isolated DC to DC converter that also can be displayed. All right, DBCC, distributed current and voltage control for systems with or without ESS. Systems set a system maximum charge current, prioritize solar charge over grid charge, set a system voltage, allows for a BMS to control charge current. So if you have get a lot of problems with the Freedom One, the E-towers, they've got the Pace BMS connected into the unit itself, not an Orion Junior 2. And they tend, once you install the unit to the Quattro or the Multiplus, once it goes, it's so it's so sensitive. So once it goes over 55.5, it normally gives you a high voltage error. So what we got is you can switch on your DVCC, limit your charge current, your charge voltage to 55.5. Then it'll never go over 55.5. Then you'll never get that overcharge voltage or high charge voltage notification anymore. All right, VRM online portal, data logs and transmitted to the VRM portal over the internet. In this menu, you can enable logging when connected to the internet. All related settings are available on the VRM online portal menu of GX. You can find the VRM portal ID on the side, the VRM portal ID, the 847 number. You connect onto your online portal, and then it will link to the system, enable auto reboot when no connection. Okay. ESS is the settings that you set up on the GX device. In the energy storage system menu, you can define the ESS priorities. Ensure that the connected multi or Quattro has ESS assistant loaded to the enabled. So on your assistants need to have ESS generated. Otherwise, it will say no ESS available. Submenus to the defined in ESS mode, grid meter installed, feed-in excess solar power, minimum SOC, limit inverter power, phone is 0, feed-in, grid set point, schedule charging. So once you say mode and you say optimize without battery, it will, with battery, it will give you two values. There's optimize without battery or keep batteries charged. That's the three settings that you have. Grid meter installed, you enable grid meter or disable. But once you enable grid meter and there's no grid meter installed, it won't charge your battery. It won't allow Eskom. So yeah, just ensure if you have an energy meter installed, activated. If it doesn't have, deactivated. Then whatever the parameters are, whatever the site diagnostics are, you set the parameters according to that. All right. Energy meter, when using a third-party energy meter, Kalogavazi, you will always need to define the use when connected to the GX device via RS485 to USB dongle. So single phase and three phase available and must be defined. So the new meters 350, all the ET340 and EM24 discontinued. The 350 meters, the new Victron meter that will be working. There's multiple ways that you connect the energy meter. You can install it to grid meter, you can install it to the generator and solar PV inverter. This is quite essential if you have a grid tie inverter connected to the output and it's not communicating via Victron's portal. You can always install the energy meter onto the output of the grid tie inverter. So you can actually see what power it produces through the energy meter. All right, so PV inverters, measure the output of PV inverter will provide the users with an overview on GX displays. Some brands can be controlled for excess power feedback, such as Fronius, ABB, and Solar Edge. Solar Edge is the new brand that can actually can be monitored through Victron. The red connection, Fronius, SMA you can't because it's normally a hub 4. Solar Edge also not, and ABB you can. So my suggestion is Fronius is the one of the top brands, Austrian make. Yeah, got a lot of sites that's running via Fronius and with no issues whatsoever. On the PV inverter, yeah, you select your AC couple inverter. So if you've got an inverter, scan for the inverter, it will detect it, and then go into inverter and then actually ask you whether it's connected into the input or output, and then it will display according to that. All right, generator start-stop function. You can set up generator start-stop functionality for generators using the relay on the GX device, or you can use it on a relay in the inverter. You just need to program the system via the assistance. So conditions such as SOC can be defined that suits the user. Fantastic features are minimum runtime and quiet hours. So runtime, it's ideal for generator not to stand and not run. You need to have a cycle on the generator and run it at least once in every 2 weeks for at least 5 to 10 minutes, just to get the circulation into the generator. You can actually set it onto the auto start functionality and manually start on a certain time or daily run time and say, okay, start at this every 2 weeks or every couple of hours, start on this function. Right. So select the relay function. Once you connect the relay, it's a two-wire stop-start function, common in a normally open, normally closed, as I mentioned. So you need to actually physically go program the relay. Select the relay function, and possible functions are alarm relay, generator start-stop function, or tank. So the function start-stop, you go to function and you select generator start-stop, and then you can actually, if you wire the two wires and you make it normally closed to start, you can actually wire two wires and close it up, and you'll hear the relay switching on the server. All right, service and CAN bus profile setup. This is where you've got multiple different battery BMSs with different protocol types. So it depends on what cable it's running. It's very important that the following settings are entered correctly for proper function of the CAN bus. Settings, services, it's at the bottom of the settings. Services, CAN bus profile, CAN bus BMS, 500 kbit. The old Blue Nova units used to work with 250 kbit. So it depends on what battery you use, and depends on what CAN bus profile it communicates through. So that you need to enable. And then, yeah, if you need anything more information, you can always go to Victron Energy. All the products will be displayed, and then Victron Professional, all the information will be, the latest products will be there, the training dates, everything will be there on the Victron tour, training tour. All the dates will be available on that portal. Right, Victron community, if you've got any questions of any sort, if there's any questions on latest products that you want, you can always go to community. First, we advise to first communicate through the distributor. Send Alton or Alex or Zanay an email, ask them questions, whatever you want to know. They'll revert back to us, but if you don't get a hold of them, you can always go to Victron community and ask questions. All right. Yeah, and that's end of the story, end of the presentation.
Yeah.
Any questions this far?
Yeah, so Armand, there's a question, good question here from Gideon. So
Yes.
he has, I think we had a chat with Gideon about this, but yeah, a while back. So he has a few GX devices where they have a router installed near the GX device, but then it goes offline, and yeah, he has to go to site to restart the Sebo GX device for it to connect to the Wi-Fi again. So he's just asking what solution there is for that. Because I think he also asked what does reboot when no contact mean? I see that question is also related to that with the server going offline.
So yeah, my suggestion is if server goes offline, obviously they've only got one router, it loses the IP address on the Wi-Fi side, so it disables and then goes back. So once it loses that, you need to reconnect it. My advice will be have a straight connect cable to the router. If it's not far away, have a straight LAN cable going to the router itself.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
So then it will reset the IP automatically, and it will have connection once the Wi-Fi comes back.
Okay. Let's see more questions here. Just scrolling down. I think there was a question from Elijah. His question was, how do you connect a third-party automation to Victron like Logzone? I just don't know what Logzone is, but I think like it's an automation software. I don't know if we should touch on that today or maybe
yeah, you can email me directly. You can get my details from you.
Okay.
Then you can email me directly, then I'll assist according to that. That's more, I think, advanced third-party monitoring.
Okay, perfect. Are there any questions from everyone? Or is that all?
I'll quickly go on to VRM.
Oh, there was one question from Darren. He just unfortunately went off, but I think it's a matter of like, yeah, we can have a chat with him. I think it's based on ESS and feeding back to the grid. But I'll have a chat with him on that.
All right. Your IBC, Darren.
Sorry?
IBC, Darren.
No, different Darren. But
okay.
yeah, he's one of our premium clients, installer. We'll have a chat with them.
I'll quickly go on to your site. I just want to get access here. Yeah, Node-RED is working on server GX, yeah. So on the Elijah, on the Node-RED itself, there's actually multiple functions that we're playing with. So obviously, as I mentioned, the TOU tariff, time of use tariff, you can actually set up 4 stages and say, okay, don't use dedicated and ignore AC on Node-RED. You can program that. And then the other function is if there's load shedding, stage 6, as we're currently experiencing, you can say your ESS is set, but keep the value on the SOC to a certain level and have a pass through on the grid. But once load shedding gets is reduced to stage 1, then it will drain the battery again. So there's multiple functions that you can select on Node-RED, but it is, yeah, we're working quite a lot with Node-RED as well.
Yeah.
Gideon, and to confirm, so the NRS tests are done on the multis, yeah, it is done. We'll most probably give you information and get all the certificates ready, hopefully before the end of this month or the next, but it is done, yeah. All right, let me just see one site here so I can show you the advanced settings.
Is Node-RED working on Sebo GX, Elijah? Oh yeah. So Elijah, Node-RED does work with on the Sebo GX. You just need to install the large file on your VRM on your Sebo GX, and you just need to enable Node-RED, and then you will be able to access it on VRM.
Yeah.
There's a site that actually did a month back integrating Eskom's push into the Victron system based on SOC. Based on the stage, then your SOC goes a little bit higher, and you always have enough power for load shedding and also be able to cycle your battery. So you make use of your battery as well.
Okay, here's the site. Lost again. There you go. So yeah, on the advanced settings, you can export the information, as I mentioned, on the MPPTs. So you've got multiple MPPTs and you've got your PV yield. Yeah, you can see your SSC, or ESS battery life status, generator start. You can see the relay state closed and or open. It only closes when the relay starts, goes to close. Then it will start the generator. But with this functionality, you can have all the data to your disposal. So you can go to widget, say you want to see the PV yield, and see all the information and see if all your MPPTs are actually working according to what you want them to work. Yeah, I can see the total PV yield on the MPPTs. Let me just go back a day. yeah, you can actually see all the data. The system SOC, where it drained, where it had to start, but luckily looks like the power came back. Yeah, with the battery, the voltage of the batteries and the yield of the MPPTs. Yeah, you can see they didn't get the bell curve. Obviously, they got limited. There's no more load and the batteries are full. So they limit and then it peaks and then it drops down. So yeah, you can actually go look at each MPPT and see if all of the MPPTs are actually working the way it should work. Yeah, you can see system and grid system, they had load shedding from time to time. So there's multiple functions. If you want to have your own widget and select your custom widget, you can select your custom widget. There's multiple settings that you can do. On your device, you can remote update firmware, remote Victron Connect, update the system settings, and then update firmware. Here's all your system information, so you can give you all the latest detail. It gives you the product ID, gives you the VRM instance, the serial numbers. So obviously you can get it on the units, and then it gives you the firmware version on each. All right, so firmware updates. I don't advise to update the inverter as such. I do advise to update the MPPTs. Once you update the inverters and the signal drops, as you mentioned, then yeah, it won't carry through. Then you'll end up driving back to site. So if you do update the firmware version on the inverter, just advise the client, and then on the client needs to flip the changeover switch. So yeah, you can see all actually the updates. All right. Any questions? All the questions done.
Yeah, looks like, is there a way to reduce VOC on a PV array to fit the below the input of the MPPT? Is there a way to reduce VOC on a PV?
Why do you wanna reduce the VOC on the PV array? The only way to reduce the you can do it with resistors, but the only way to reduce PV is to populate it according to the VOC that you require. Otherwise, you need to install optimizers. Only way to reduce VOC is optimize. If it's an existing site. All right.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Anton.
No, thank you, Armand,
I
for
do apologize
your time.
again. Sorry for being late. It was a 25-minute late, so I need to buy all of you guys a beer.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'll give them your email for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
But no,
And yeah, if there's any questions, we'll have a training. I'll speak to Zane. We'll have a more advanced training. Well, in August, I believe, and then we'll go through in more detail on each inverter, how the inverter operates, how it switches on the MOSFETs, etc., etc. But yeah, I think we'll go into more detail, and I would like to focus on the RS multi-RS units as well, and give you training on the multi-RS, and yeah, show how to program it. There's new firmware and better firmware that's coming out as well. On the not firmware but dashboard displays on the Victron itself. It looks phenomenal, so we'll have training on that as well.
okay. No, thank you, Armand. And thank you, everyone, for joining. Apologies for the time. But yeah, hopefully this was very fruitful for everyone. And yeah, let's take it one Victron system at a time.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Goodbye.
Hey.